All right, so we're gonna start the class, and again, anyone has any questions on your 4.3 and 4.4 homework? Suksar, Henry, Kelvin, Henry, Gamal. This was very important, so make sure you use this when you do your homework. We'll concentrate on doing what we call as completing the squares, because this is worth a lot of points in your next test, test number 2, where you need to perform completing the squares to figure out what conic sections we have. And then you have to give me the vertices, foci, center, all the goodies, and then you have to graph it after that. So this is worth around 12, I think around 12, 10, 12 points in your test 2, which is a big chunk of it. If you have no questions, I want you guys to go ahead and try to, I think I did tell you guys to try to do this at home. So try to do question 5 here by completing the squares. So make sure you guys know how to completing the squares. Very important. Anyone know what's the first thing you need to do for completing the squares here? What's the first step? Completing the square. What's the first step? This is question 5 on 4.4. Just written down here. Save some time. What is the first step for completing the squares? Step number 1. Anyone? Separate. Separate your x, y, and numbers. So we have the 9x squared here minus 36x. And then you got the square of the y. So you got 25y squared minus 50y. And the 52, you move it to the other side. So numbers on the other side of the equation. So since it's a positive, this will be negative. You guys all right here with the first step? Now let's take a look at the x terms. So I'll do the x term, you do the y term for me. The second step is to factor the x squared so that the leading coefficient is 1. So I need to factor the 9 out. So when I factor the 9 out, I will have x squared minus 4x. Because 9 times 4 is 36. So this is your second step, is to make sure that your x squared is 1x squared. So if any number in front, you factor it out. Second step. Third step is you take your middle term, which is -4 or 4, doesn't matter, because you have to divide by 2, and you have to square it. Okay, and that will give us -4 divided by 2 is -2 when you square is 4. So you have to add 4 on here. And for this side, you don't add 4, you add 36. And how I get 36 is 9 times 4. Okay, so one of calculus mistake students tends to do is they add 4 on this side, on the right side. It's not balanced, the equation here is 36. So that is your step number 3. And the last step is these 3 terms will be factored. And the factor is going to be a perfect square. And this will be x minus 2. Where is the negative come from? The negative come from the -36 or the -4. The 2 come from the square of 4. That's a 2. And don't forget, I have a 9 in front here. So this is the 4th step of completing. So this is almost done. So you guys go ahead and do the y terms. I did the y terms. So make sure you guys do the y terms here. So perform completing the squares on the y terms. Go ahead and do it. Yep. You need to know how to do this. Very important. And there is no shortcut. Someone asked me, is there any shortcut? I will tell you, no. If there's a shortcut, I will teach you the shortcut. But unfortunately, that is not. So perform for the y term.
And it'd be 25 parentheses y squared minus 2y.
Wait, 25 y squared minus what?
2y.
2y. So what do we need to figure out the number here to make a perfect square? You have to take the middle term, which is what?
-2.
And you divide by
2.
2 and you
Square it.
Square it. This is divide by 2 and square is fixed. You cannot, it's, and what you get?
1.
1. So we add 1 here. But what do we need to add on here to balance the equation out?
25.
25, yes. Okay, because of the 25 in front, you multiply it. And what happens to these 3 terms when you factor it?
It's a perfect square.
Of what? Y minus 1. And we still drop the 25 because you have the 25 in front. And lastly is take up your calculator and add all these numbers out. What do you get?
9.
9, yep. I just want to point out to you guys is in this class, this number that you add up here, well, it's a perfect square numbers like 9, 25, 36, 40, those perfect, perfect square numbers. If you get something that is 11 or 10 or something that is not perfect square, something is wrong with what you add here. So I just want to point out to you for this class, just for this class, but when you calculate, it's different. But for this class, when you add these 3 numbers up or whatever numbers you add up on this right side, that number you add up is a perfect square numbers. Make sure you guys know that. So the last final step is to make this as 1 because to figure out a conic section, this is always equals 1. So you have to divide everything here by 9. So this is equals to 1. Now this will cancel out. You will get x minus 2 squared over 1. Again, over 1 is up to you. I just write it down as over 1. Now, 25 and 9, you cannot cancel. There's no way you can reduce this. But as you look at all your conic section formulas, it's always start with the y1 here. So anything that's next to this has to be 1. So what do we do here is this 25, since we cannot reduce it 9. So how do we write this in just in a fraction? Anyone? You guys know how to write 25 over 9? If I just want to put this as 1, what we do with this 25? What do we do with it? So this is written down as 9 over by what? 25. Okay, so make sure you guys know that this 25 on top, we have to make it is 1. The reason why is because if you look at the formula of your of all your conic sections, your x squared and your y squared here, they always have 1 in there, no matter it's an ellipsis or is that a hyperbola, they all have 1 in front. So that's the reason why that we will have to make this as 1. So in order for us to get rid of the 25, we make him down here. So now with this equation that we have, can someone tell me what kind of conic section is this? Is it a circle, ellipsis, hyperbola, or parabola? Anyone? What we call this? It's a ellipse, right? But in my test, the reason why it's ellipse is because x and y squared is positive, is square, and then there's a positive in the middle. So it's an ellipse. You also need to tell me what kind of the ellipse is this. Is this ellipse a vertical one or a horizontal one? I cannot hear that. And you need to tell me why you say that. Calvin, is that you? I cannot hear you.
It's vertical because the b squared is bigger.
Which one is bigger, 1 or 9/25? Which
I'm
one
gonna
is
say
big?
1.
So this will be a square, right?
Yeah.
And this is b square, right? Because again, when you do ellipses, a has to be greater than b. So that's why you need to compare which one is bigger. We know 1 is definitely bigger than 9/25. So a square is above what variable, x or y?
X.
X. So what kind of major axis is this that is above? A square is above x, is the
Horizontal.
horizontal. So this ellipse is the horizontal one.
And you said that we will get this,
Yes.
the notes during the exam, right?
Yep, the one in the highlight in orange. So the one that is in the red and the purple or fuchsia, whatever color it is not in there. So the one in the highlight in orange will be in the test too. So that is the formula for him. So that's an ellipse with the horizontal one. So can someone tell me by looking at this, what is your center?
2 and 1.
So 2 and 1, very good, HK. So 2, 1. What is your A? What is your B? And what is your C? Now A in this case is a plus minus of this. So you have to take a square root, but the good news is 1 square of 1 is still 1. But can you tell me what is B is square root of what? 9/25, right? What is the perfect square of those?
3/5.
3/5. So the reason why we need to figure out C is because of the foci, the coordinates of the foci. So does anyone remember how you figure out C in this case? Are we using a squared minus b squared? Are we using a squared plus b squared?
A squared minus b squared.
So we're gonna use this. So c squared in this case, so we have to solve for it. So c squared is a squared minus b squared, and a squared is 1. B squared is not 3/5. We have to square it, 9/25. Can someone tell me what is 1 take away 9/25? This is 9. This will be 25/25 because 1 can be changed with anything. So what is 25 take away 9? 16 over, yep, 16/25. And because it's a c square, so we're gonna get rid of the square, we square root it. So what is the square root of 16/25? 4/5. So this is how you do your ABC. Yes, this costs like 2 points in your test to calculate your ABC here. So make sure you guys take a square root of this for A and B. A lot of students think that your A is 1 and your B is 9/25. That is not your B, that's your B squared. Okay. So now we need to find your vertices. So your vertices is based on A. So if you want to figure out what is your vertex here or vertices here, is based on A. So since you told me it's horizontal, horizontal is where? On the X, on the Y? X. So that means your X value will change based on A. So on the vertices, it's gonna be H plus minus AK. Okay. So H is 2 plus minus A is 1 and K is still 1 here. So your HK is 2, 1. This is your H, this is your K. So what is this? If you take 2 plus minus 1, you get 3, 1 if it's plus, and then you also get 1, 1. So your vertices in this case will be coordinates of 3, 1 and 1, 1. And the next thing we're going to talk about here is your foci. Your foci is using C. So it's going to be the same thing, but we don't use A, we use C, H plus minus CK. So this is what happens when you have it on the horizontal. If you have on the vertical, then you add plus minus a on the k and the plus minus c on the k if for chi if you go to vertical one. So this will become 2 plus minus c in this case is 4/5 and 1. Your k is still 1. So again, you have to use your calculator and figure out what is 2 plus 4/5 and then 2 minus 4/5. 2 plus 4/5 is 14/5. 1. And then 2 minus 4/5 is 6/5. So this coordinates is the foci coordinates. So again, when you, and then this is what we need here is you need to tell me what is the conic section, what is the center, what is your ABC is, and then what is your vertices, and what is your foci, and then the last is graph. Now, when you graph an ellipse, you do not need to worry about graphing the foci. You just need to know where is the center at and know what is your A and your B. It's kind of like a circle, and you draw me, but it's ellipse. So it's a little bit off the radius, not the same as the radius. So the center in this case is 2, 1. So we're going to draw the ellipse now. So 2, 1, so x is 2, y is 1. So this is the center. So since you told me that your vertices is in horizontal, it go 3, 1. So 3, 1 means this is 3, 1. And 1, 1 means, so this is your vertices. Is the distance from that is 1. Now, since you know B is 3/5, 3/5 is not very big. So that means that B means for this case goes up. So this is 2. So B in this case is somewhere here. So you go up 3/5 or 0.6, and then you go down 0.6, which is 3/5. So you kind of get the B. So make sure that this orange one is your B and the green one is your A. And then once you get that, you just draw me a circle, no, sorry, ellipse. Looks like a circle, but no, it's not a circle. So this is your graph for this case. So you do not need to do any asymptotes or anything for ellipses. So this is how we do these questions for question 5. So anyone have any questions for me? This was like 10 to 12 points in the test.
So where did those 2 last points come from?
Where
The
which
2
one?
orange, the 2 orange ones.
It comes from your B.
All right.
So your B is 3/5. So that means from here to here is your B. So when you draw the ellipse, so this is the center, and then this is your vertices, the green one, and the distance for this to this is 1 because your A is based on A. And then the orange one is based on B. So the B one is go up, so it's 3/5. So you got here, and then you go down 3/5. So then you draw me the ellipse. You okay there? Gamal?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. I give you graph paper. It'd be nice to do it, and make sure you know 3/5 is the same thing as 0.6. So it'll be just change the 0.6 and you go up 0.6 and go down 0.6, and you will get yourself the 4 dots. Anyone have any questions for me here for this one? All right, this is number 9. I just copied down from your notes there. Same question 6. Question 6. I want you guys to try to perform completing the squares here. Repeat. I'm very emphasized on this because it's worth a lot of points in your test. Separate them. So 9x squared minus 36x. Now the y squared, be careful class, make sure it's negative. That negative is important. A lot of students say, a lot of students forget to put a negative in front. You will get a big mistake for that case. So be careful with the negative here. And then I move the 18 over. Okay, so watch out for the negative y squared. So make sure if it's positive, make sure you put a positive. If it's negative, we should put a negative because that will determine is that an ellipse or a hyperbola. So a lot of students forget that, they think it's ellipse instead of hyperbola. All right. Perform completing the square on the x. Then do on the y. This is very similar on number 5. So anyone what can, I'm gonna try with the x part first.
It would be 9 parentheses x squared minus 4x minus 4.
Plus 4. That is correct. The 9's factor out become 4, and then you take the half x squared, that's 4. But what if we need to add on this side?
36.
36. Okay. And we can factor him. So what's a factor for this one? X minus 2 squared. I think this is exactly the same as number 5, right? On the x piece. Now we talk about the y piece. What can we factor out here?
It would be y minus 6.
No. Good try, but no. You actually need to factor out the negative. So pay attention for this one. So you actually need to factor out the negative. So when you factor out the negative, you get y squared and what? Plus 6y. Okay, don't forget. Minus become plus. When you factor negative out, it become positive. This is important as because when you do your perfect square, when you factor in your perfect square, if it's a negative, this is minus. If it's a positive, it's a plus. So that's why a lot of students did not change this sign, and your center is wrong. And if your center is wrong, everything is wrong. Just be careful with that. It's domino effects. What do we need to add here to make it as a perfect square here? So take this number, divide by 2 and square it, which is what?
9.
9, right? But usually we add something here, right? Like usually we add 9 here, okay? You don't add 9 in this case. This is wrong. You should be what?
Minus
Negative.
9.
Yeah, subtract 9. So this is ellipses. This is hyperbola. This is just for hyperbola. Is we don't add in this y term. You actually do to subtract because of when you distribute here, it's no longer plus, it's minus. So that's why this negative sign is so important that a lot of students forget to put it in the test. Okay. So we still have a negative sign. And what is the perfect square for this fellow?
9.
Not 9. 5 plus 3, right? And you need to add all this up. I think that this has got 9 here. Yeah, this is 9. I think this you get 9 here. I think so. But this is make sure you know how to get 3. How we get a positive is because from this plus sign, the 3 came from the square root of 9. That's how we get a 3. Again, as usual, we want this as 1. So we will divide everything by 9. So this will cancel out. So I still put 1 on it, so it's easy for us to see. So x squared minus 1 divided by 1 minus by y plus 3 squared over 9, because that one has nothing, can be written. And this is equal to 1. So this is your conic sections formula here. So now you need to tell me what kind of conic section is this. So anyone look at your formula? Is this a circle, ellipse, hyperbola, parabola?
Hyperbola.
So this is a hyperbola. Can you tell me, is this a with the transverse on the horizontal or the vertical?
Horizontal.
How do we know it's horizontal? What's the difference between these two if you look at him?
X minus 8.
So which one is positive, right? If your x is positive and your y is negative, it's horizontal. If you flip it around, it's vertical. So since x here is positive, and y is negative, this is a horizontal part. And this, no matter if it's horizontal and vertical, your first one is all your x is always a squared, and your y is always b squared. Okay, and this has no rules about a has to be greater than b for hyperbola. So so now we need to figure out what is your ABC here. So a in this case is 1 versus plus minus 1. And what is b in this case? Plus minus what? 3. And we also need to know your center. So what is your center in this case?
2 and -3.
So 2 and -3. And this is your center. And this is your AB. And in order for us to figure out C, you have to use what?
C squared.
A squared plus is the Pythagorean theorem. So this is how you figure out your so it's going to be C squared is A squared plus B squared. And we know A squared is 1 and B squared is 9. B squared is 9. So this will be 10. So C in this case is what? Plus minus what?
Square root of 10.
Square root of 10. Okay. And again, since you say it's horizontal, so if you want to find the vertex, your vertex in this case is, your vertices in this case will be H plus minus AK. Don't forget all your horizontal one, the A, your X is the one that you have to add on or subtract. So again, your H is 2, your K is -3. So what you get here? What is your A is 1, right? Sorry, it's plus minus 1. So it will be 2 plus minus 1, 3, right? -3. So what is your vertices here? 3, -3. And what? 1, -3, right? This is your vertices. And for the foci, you have to do the C. So it's still, because it's a horizontal, so you do C in this case. So it will be 2 plus minus. The good news is because the C is a square root of 10, you cannot combine this to become 12 and 8. So this will be your answer in this case. Okay. And again, in your online homework, they don't like your plus minus, so make sure you put your answer in 2. However, this is a hyperbola, so you have an extra one that is called the asymptotes. Do you guys remember how you find your asymptote? Is y equals to plus minus x. Is this a b over a or a over b? Again, refer back to your original equation here. It will tell you. Is that a over b or b over a? Slope. Slope is what? Change of y over change of x, right? So what is y and what is x? Y in this case is b, right? And x in this case is a. So in this case, it will be b over a. Okay. And then you just need to plot minus k here and minus h for your x, because you have a transition of your center is no longer at 0, 0. It's an hk. So what you do is you got your hk here and then you just plug in there. So y minus k, k is negative, so this is plus 3. Plus minus b over a, b over a, b is 3, a is 1, so this is 3 over 1. So 3 over 1 is 3. And x minus h, h is 2, so it's minus 2. Again, in my test, you can leave your answer like this, so do not need to do any work. In your online homework, you have to do some distributive. So you have to distribute 3 first and then minus 3 so that you get y equals 2. that is for the positive, and then you have to distribute the -3 because you got two asymptotes here. So you have to do this twice. So that is what you do in your online homework. But for my test, just leave it like this. I'm fine. I'm not testing you how to do distributive and solve for y here. So make sure you know which my test is that B over A or A over B, because a lot of students make that mistakes in your test. So now we need to graph this hyperbola. So in order for you to graph a hyperbola, you need to draw me that box. And then once you draw me the box, you draw the x for your asymptotes, and then you draw your hyperbola. Now, if you have a horizontal one, is your hyperbola going upwards, downwards like this, or going sideways like this? Which one is a horizontal hyperbola? Up, down, or sideways?
Sideways.
Sideways. Yep. So make sure you know, if you draw me an up and down one, it's going to be wrong. So the center is 2, -3. So 2 is here and -3 is here. So 2, -3, this is your center. And then now you do your A, since you go horizontal. So A in this case, your purple one, is 3, -3. So 3, -3 is right here. This is 3, -3. This is your vertices. And what? 1, -3. 1, -3 is here. So this is also your vertices. So it goes sideways like this one. But we doesn't know how big or how narrow the side your hyperbola. So we need to draw you the box. So in order for us to draw the box, we need that the A and B. We got the A done. Now we just need to do your B. So so this is your A, which is 1. Your B is 3. So you go up 3 and you go down 3. So yeah, if you think about ellipse, this one looks like an ellipse. So if you draw something like this, that's your ellipse. But for hyperbola, we don't draw an ellipse, we draw the box. So your box will look, let's make mouse, there you go. Your box will look something like this. It will go all the way down to here. This is your box. Okay, it's bounded by your A and your B. Okay. Usually if you do the ellipse, you just draw me the ellipse here, but this time you draw me the box. And your hyperbola, your asymptotes is the one that cross from one end to the center to the other end. So again, it's a freehand, so it's not really nice. You have a graph paper during test time, so it'll be a better graph. So this will be your asymptotes that you did here. So what you do with your graph is you just draw me a sideways hyperbola that will be parallel or cannot cross on your asymptotes. And this one goes like that too. So it's pretty wide actually. So this is your answer for the graph for number 6. You guys doing all right here? Anyone have any questions for me with this?
Yeah. When we divided the y plus 3 squared by 9, there's a -1 out front. Why then isn't it -9 divided by -1?
Which one? The completeness squares?
Yeah. So like, what's called right under where your cursor is. There's the y plus 3 squared divided by 9, right? To make that equal to 1, we brought in the last problem we brought the
that's the last problem. He has a 25 here.
Okay.
This one has no 25. This one has just nicely 1. So you do not need to bring it down. Nope.
Okay.
So only if you have a number here, like a 3 or any number, and if it's 3, it's good. Then we can reduce it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if it's like last time we got a 25 here, we cannot reduce it because 9 and 25 is not reducible. Right. Then you have to make it down to here. So let me show it to you. So this is the part that you talked about. So if this fellow, because it is not reducible, cannot reduce, so you have to chuck it back as him.
Okay.
But last questions we have is nicely 1. We got a 1 here, so that one we do not need to worry about.
All right.
And if it's a 3, reduce it to become 1/3. And the reason why is because your formula is all have one. See, look at, they all have one on the X and Y here, no matter. So except for this one, for parabola is a bit different, but for circle, ellipse, and hyperbola, the one with the square one. So you can tell all the square ones has one in front of them. Okay. So that is the one that you need to watch out for. Questions, anyone? All right. So that is how this is a lot of points. And sometimes also I ask you to find the standard form of the equations given the characteristic. So like number 7. So how do we do that is, again, they will tell you what kind of conic section, parabola, ellipse, or hyperbola, but they don't tell you are they parallel, are they vertical or horizontal. So like question 7 is telling us it is a parabola. It's given us that the vertices in this case is -2, 1. The vertex is -2, 1. And the directrix in this case is x equals to 1. So how do we know that if this is a horizontal or a vertical one for this case? So let's go back to your formula. So this is the formula for the conic section, and we are concentrating on parabola because the question will tell us. So which one are we doing here? The vertical one or horizontal one, and which one tell us that? How do we know it's that?
Horizontal, because the directrix is on the x-axis.
Varying on the x equals to, yep. So this is actually the horizontal one, not the vertical one. It's because your directrix is x equals 2. If your directrix is y equals 2, then it is on the vertical one. Okay. And when I say horizontal, is that up, down, or left, right? Which one is this one? So let me just draw a little bit of it so you guys know what the parabola looks like. So I say directrix is x equals to 1. So this is 1. This is your directrix. Okay, this is your directrix here. -2, 1 is right here. -2, 1. This is your vertex. So you think this one is going up, down, side, C. Which one?
Going down.
Not down.
Side C.
C or the other way?
C.
It's not C, it's the other way. The reason why it's not C is because your directrix is on the positive side. If your directrix on the negative side and your vertex is here, so this is actually goes like this. You guys with me here? So it's going to be this one. The reason why it's not up down is because your directrix is not y equals 2. If your directrix is y equals 2, then it's up and down. Okay. Do you guys remember if you open sideways like this, your P, because we need to figure out P, right? Do you guys know how you find P here? Because once you find P, then we know the formula here. So the formula we use here is this formula, y minus k squared equals to 4px minus h. This is the formula. You say it's horizontal, so this is the formula. And we know the directrix is hk. So the hk is already found out. We know. So we need to figure out P. And once you get P, you just plug it into this formula, and that's your answer. And please don't FOIL, don't multiply, just leave it like that. So does anyone know how to find P? We can use a directrix. Directrix says what? X equals to h minus P, right? Do we know h? H in this case is -2. So we know that this is -2. So we can make the directrix the same. So in this case, that -2 minus P equals to 1. Because you told me is the directrix is x equals to 1. So we just make this equals to 1 and we solve for P. So you move this over here, you move that over here. What is P in this case?
-3.
-3. That's one way. Another way, you just figure out what is the distance from here to here. That is your P. And don't forget, this will be a negative. The reason why is because your directrix is on the positive side. If your directrix on the negative side, it's positive. So if you switch around, it's you know this is negative because your C open backwards. So what is the distance from here to here? Anyone? How far is from here? 3, right? So that's another way for us. If you draw the picture, you can also figure out very easily. So what you do now is you just put all this into this formula. So in this case, y minus k, k is 1, so y minus 1 squared equals to 4 times -3. H is -2, so it's +2. Don't put a square on it. There's only one square here. So this is your equation here. For my task, just leave it like this. You do not need to do anything else. If they mark you wrong on your online homework, just multiply these two together to make it -12. Okay, so depends on how picky your online homework is. I'm not picky, as I told you in my test, but for your online homework, if they mark you wrong, if you write something like this, then you just change to negative. Just multiply it.
Would you put the 1 in for the x?
What one? For the directrix?
Yes.
Directrix has nothing to do with your equation. Only your vertices. So your vertices HK is the one that play a role.
Okay.
So make sure you guys know HK and P for parabola. The HK is from the vertex. P is the distance from the directrix to the vertex. Or if you want to figure out what is the foci, the focus point of one focus point, your focus point is somewhere inside here, and the distance from the vertex to the focus point is also 3. So if a question is asking for what is the coordinate of this focus point, this will be at -5. So the focus point, if a question asking for where's the focus point, the focus point in this case will be at -5. You just add 3 to the left here. A picture will really help you because some people doesn't want to draw it because it doesn't ask to draw a picture. But if you draw the picture, it really gonna help you a lot. Just a sketch of it will be fine. Next one is given us is ellipse, where the foci in this case will be at 0, 0 and 0, 8. And the major axis in this case is 16. Same thing happens here. You have to figure out, are they horizontal or are they vertical? And how do we figure out, are they horizontal or vertical? Draw it out. The question here is given us the foci. So 0, 0, 0, 0 is right here. This is your foci. Where is 0, 8 at? On the x or on the y-axis?
Y.
So 0, 8 is somewhere here, right? This is another foci. 0, 8. So my question to you is, your foci is on what axis? X or y-axis? It's on the y-axis. So can someone tell me if it's on the y-axis, is that horizontal or vertical?
Vertical.
So this is a vertical one, not the horizontal. Okay. And if you look at the formula for ellipses that is on the vertical axis, your equation is x minus h squared over b squared, is a vertical one. So x minus h squared over b squared plus y minus k squared over a squared equals to 1. So again, HK in this case is your center. So center in this case is your HK. So how do you find center? So center is right in the middle of this. So center is always right in the middle between those two. So can someone tell me what is the location, coordinates of the center in this case?
0, 4.
0, 4. So it's kind of like a midpoint or the halfway. So we know from here to here is 8. That means from here to here is 4. So that means the location of the center is 0, 4. Or the midpoint of this. Midpoint means you add them up and divide by 2. 0 plus 8 added up and then divide by 2, you get 4. So we know this is your HK. So HK is no. Okay. Now, major axis has a formula. Can you tell me what is the formula for the major axis from this formula here? We have a formula for major axis. Major axis formula is what? 2a. So that means that the 16 is equals to 2a. So what is a in this case?
8.
8, right? So now we figure out a, which is 8. We know your HK, 0, 4. Now we need to figure out b. Unfortunately, the question doesn't give us b. They give us a. Can someone tell me foci is what variable we use for foci? That will be c. Okay, so can someone tell me what is c in this case? That means it's the distance from the center to the foci. So how far is this to there, to the foci? How many units? If you say this is 0, 4.
4.
Yep, so your C is 4. So see the picture will help you a lot actually. So that's the reason why I really helped you to get that. So this will be 4. This will be 4. Okay, so now we got C, we got A, we can find B using the formula, and the formula is C squared equals to A squared minus B squared. So now we use this to find your, so C squared, your B, A squared minus B squared. So C squared is 16, 4 times 4. A squared is 64, 8 times 8 minus B squared. So we try to figure out what is B squared in this case. So B squared is 64 minus 16. Just move this over there and move 16 over there. Anyone know what 64 minus 16 is?
48.
48. And then we do not need to take a square root of it because our equation wants B squared here. So now we know B squared, we know A squared, we know HK. We just plug all this inside into this equation. Can someone tell me what is the equation here? X squared, because our H is 0, so we can ignore the 0 here, over B squared, in this case is 48, plus what? Y minus K. What is K in this case? K is 4 squared. And what is A squared in this case? Since A is 8,
64.
what happens? 64. And this is equals to 1. So this is your answer in this case. You guys all right? Tough. This is not as tough as the other one, but still you can tell that it takes, it's a little bit work. It's not something that you can just look at it and say, oh yeah, this is easy. 9, so we're gonna do number 9. That's the last one for this. The word problems, you can look at my videos. There are videos to do these word problems from my previous class. So 9 is telling us it's a hyperbola with vertices of 2, 0 and 6, 0. And the foci is given us by 0, 0 and 8, 0. So as usual, the question doesn't provide us, is this a horizontal one or is this a vertical one? So the best way for us to figure out here is to plot this coordinates point. So plot these vertices and the foci, and you will tell where is it located at. Are they horizontally located or vertically? They are. So go ahead and plot this one up and tell me what you think.
Horizontal.
So 20 is here, right? 60 is here. This is your vertices. 00 is here, that's your foci. And 80 is here, that's your foci. So everything is on what axis? On the x-axis. So your answer is horizontal, not vertical. That's correct. By looking at the formula, the horizontal hyperbola is this one, the first one. This is a horizontal, so I'm gonna write down x minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. So this is the formula we use. Now we go back to HK again. And if you remember from the previous one, HK, we can look at here, hyperbola. HK is actually your center. Center is your HK. So if you want to denote where is this on the graph is right, the center is right over here. This is center. Can someone tell me what is the coordinates of this center point?
4, 0.
I'm sorry. So, Calvin, can you say? Is that Calvin or someone else? I heard 0.
I think he
Anyone?
said 4, 4, 0. I think
4,
he said.
0. Yep. Sorry, I didn't hear that. So does anyone know how we get 4, 0 here? Again, is the midpoint of the vertices or the midpoint of your foci, means you add them up and divide it by 2. So no matter which one you use, add up divide by 2, you still get 4, 0. So that means our h is 4 and our k is 0. It's good. Now, can you tell me from here to here, from the center to your vertex, you say this is 4, right? Because how far is it from here to your vertices?
2.
2. So what is that called? A, B, or C?
A.
So A in this case is 2. Good. So we know A is 2 here. Okay. Now we need to know the foci. The foci is from here to here. So what is the distance from the center to the foci?
4.
4. And that is A, B, or C in this case. That will be your C. So again, what is missing here is B. So you just need to solve for using the Pythagorean theorem. A squared, C squared equals to A squared plus B squared. What's going on here? C squared is A squared plus B squared. So C squared is 16, 4 times 4. A squared is 4 plus B squared. Anyone know what's B squared here?
Root of 12.
12, right? You don't have to put square root because we got A squared here. So so now we put a square on this fellow because a lot of people put 2 here. It should not be 2. So can someone tell me what is your equation here? Once you put everything inside, what is your answer?
X minus 4 squared
Over what?
4.
Minus
Y minus 0.
y squared over
144.
not 144. So Calvin, be careful with this. This is what a lot of students do that in my test. Should be over what? 12. Don't forget, this is B squared, not B.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
So this is what Calvin says is majority of the students make a mistake. They square that to follow 144, and that will be wrong. So this is the answer. Again, it's up to you to put minus 0 here or not. That I don't really picky with that one. So this is your answer for question number 9. You guys all right here? Questions with it? You guys all right? Tough? Tough? Okay, So we're gonna go a little bit on chapter 5. So this is the end of chapter 4. Again, make sure you guys know how to do this. Picture might help you to figure out horizontal, vertical, your ABC here, and for this kind of questions. And again, use this formula because it's provided in your test. Anyone have any questions for me? If you have any word problems, we'll talk. Watch my old YouTube video because I do have I did some of the one that is talking about this 10 and 11. So so that I did that in the old YouTube video, so you can watch it. So try to do this on your homework. So don't forget your homework for this Wednesday is 4.3 and 4.4. So we're gonna go with chapter 5 today. So so once you finish chapter 4, what is chapter 5? Chapter 5 is doing what we call as exponents and log. So so 5.1 we talk about exponents, and then 5.2 we talk about log. They are inverse to each other. So last time when we talk about exponents, you just did something like 2 to the power of 2, right? Or x to the power of 3. So this is what you guys did in chapter, all exponents that you guys did, the polynomials and stuff. This time we don't do this kind of exponents. We reverse it. So the exponents that we're going to talk about here is like 3 to the power of x or 1/2 to the power of x. These are kind of exponents that we are talking about, where your x in this case is not in your base, it's in your exponents, and your base is a number like 3 and stuff like that. So this is what we call as exponent function here. So the exponent function is given us by f of x equals to something like this, ax, where a in this case is any number b1 as long as it is greater than 0. It can be fraction, but it cannot be 1. Okay, and x here can be any real numbers. I mean, if I say x is any real numbers, so that means your domain in this case is all real numbers. Okay, that means that your x can be 1, 2, 1.5, square of 2, whatever number you want. So let's draw a graph. So you need to know how to draw this graph. It's very important. So let's draw the 2x first. So we draw the very basic one first. So 2x. And then we talk about 3x. So this is when your a in this case is greater than 1. So the first graph that we draw here is for a is greater than 1. So when it's 2, 3, 4. And then the next one is where a in this case is negative. When you talk about negative x, we can write this as a negative x. So instead of f of x equals to 1/2 of x, this is also can be written down as 2 to the power of negative x. They are the same. Okay. The reason why is because in your exponents, if you have a negative, if you remember 2 to the negative 1, we can write this as 1/2. So that's the reason why that when you say negative exponents, it means 1 over it. Okay. So we're gonna do this one first, and then after we do the one with the fraction like 1/2 or negative x, or 3 to the negative x, which is 1/3. So let's draw this graph first. So if you doesn't know how to draw this graph, we just do the table form. Okay, like plug in numbers in here. So usually we plug in like a 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So what happens when you plug 0 in here? Does anyone know what happens 2 to the power of 0 is? This is what? This is 1. So what happened is that at 0, 1, it will be your y-intercept. Okay. What happens when you plug 1 in here? You get 2, 1. 2 power of 1 is 2. So this will be at x is 1, y is 2. And then when you put 2, you get 2 squared, which will be 4. So when x is 2, y is 4. A little bit up, maybe here. Okay. 4. And then now we do the negative. So what happens when you plug -1? So 2 to the power of -1, which we did over here, is 1/2. So what happens when you have a -1? That value is cut into half, 1/2. And what happens when you plug -2 in here? Anyone know what is that will be? Which is 2 power of -2. What that is?
1/4.
1/4. So this number is the value of this is even smaller. So this graph that I draw here is for y equals for the function of half x, 2x, sorry. This is 2x. Okay. If I want to draw 3x, repeat the same thing, right? But instead of 2 here, this is all going to be 3. So 3 to the power of 0 is still 1. So for the 3, for 3, you still have the 0, 1. 3 to the power 1 is 3. So when it's 1, x is 1, you get 3, which is here. And when you go square, this is 9. So 9, this is 4. 9 is way up here. Okay, this is 4. So go up there. When you do the negative, this is negative 1/3. So negative 1/3 is a little bit lower than half. And then this one is 1/9 because 3 squared is 9. So it's 1/9, which is even lower. So you find out that when you have a 3x, the function is, the graph will look something like this. And you get closer and closer. Okay. Do this graph cross the x-axis?
No.
No. This graph will go parallel to it. So you never cross it. So this black graph that I draw here is 3x. So do you see a pattern coming out? If this is 2x, the black, and it still cross at this 0, 1, 3x is a black one. What happens if I want you to draw 4x, 5x, 6x? What happens to this graph? It will get closer and closer to your x-axis. So if I want you to draw 4x, 4x would be like this. You still have 1, 0, and then it still cannot go down. So the green one will be 4x. So the higher the base is, the 3, 4, 5, the closer and closer you get to the y-axis. Will we ever cross the y-axis? The answer is no. It will probably parallel. So if you get if you got 1000x, then your graph will be very parallel to the y-axis. And then at this point, it's still at 1. And then it will go very parallel to your x-axis after that. So it will be like, ooh, go like this, then it drops parallel. So this is one. So the more higher the power, the more closer it gets to your x-axis. So this is your what we call as an exponent function. Very important. So make sure you guys know that. Now then next we draw the fraction one, 2 to the power of negative x, or 1/2 x. So again, we use back the same kind of table here. So we put 0, and again, because anything to the power of 0 is 1, so we still have 0, 1 in this case. So no matter it is a fraction or negative or positive exponents, you still have 0, 1 here. So that point is a very important point. When you plug 1, you get 2 to the power of negative 1. This is 1/2. So when x is 1, you get 1/2, which is half of it. And when you plug 2 in here, 2 to the power of negative 2 is 1/4. So you find out that this is getting lower or smaller on the right side. What happens when you plug negative 1? This will become 2 to the 1 because double negative will make it positive. So at negative 1, this fellow is at 2. And if you plug negative 2 in here, we will get 2 to the power of 2 because double negative is positive, is 4. So what happens into this graph is this graph will go kind of like opposite directions of the 2x here. So this is 2 to the negative x, or sometimes we say 1/2 x. So this is so if I want to compare this, so this one is 2x, and this is 2 to the negative x. And remember, I draw the 3x. 3x looks something like this, closer to your to your y value. This is 3x. So can someone tell me what happens if my is 3 to the negative x? It's gonna go this direction like this, and it goes down like that. So this is 3 to the negative x. So so what we have a name for this. So those who go to the positive, this is if you read the graph from left to right, this graph is keep on going increasing. So this is called exponential growth. And if you read the graph from left to right for this case, this is going to call exponentially decay. So it's getting decay, it's decreasing the whole time, and the other one is increasing the whole time. If you talk about the domain and range here, so for this case, your domain is all real numbers. That means if you look at the graph, it goes from negative to positive infinity. If you look at this one, your domain is also all real numbers because it will go from negative to positive infinity. Your range here is from 0 to infinity. That means you cannot touch 0 because this graph will not ever touch it. You go from 0 to infinity. This range is also from 0 to infinity because it never crossed at 0, never touched at 0, and it goes all the way to infinity. It has a horizontal asymptote at y equals to 0. See, because this is your, if I want to figure out the asymptote, it's going to be this line. Or this line. This is also having the same horizontal asymptote, which is y equals to 0. And it has a y-intercept at 0, 1. You cross it here. This one also have a y-intercept at 0, 1. Because cross it here. And it has no x-intercept because it never crossed on the x-intercept because it goes parallel with the x-axis. This one also has no x-intercept. It never crosses in the x-axis. Okay. So these are the two very important exponent function. The reason why you need to know this is because of application. There are some word problems here. When you talk about exponential growth, like population of the earth or the world is exponentially grow, means we start from very little and then after that we grow really fast. So right now we are growing really fast. Our population grows really fast. And population growth is one of them. Another one is bacteria. So if you leave bacteria in like outside, outside your fridge, your bacteria will grow exponentially, means you grow very slowly first, then after that you grow really fast. Okay, like COVID, like this pandemic, COVID-19 or anything with like a plague or something else, it's also exponential growth, means that we start very little and then after that it goes really fast, and then it will come back down, hopefully, because right now with our COVID-19, we come back down a little bit and then it goes back up. So usually we go up for growth and then after that we're going down. Okay, so these are kind of few growth populations word problems. Interest. If you put money into your credit card or anything, it accumulate interest. That accumulate interest is a growth interest, means that you start very the first few years you only have a very little interest, then after that you get a lot of interest. So it can be good or it can be bad, depends on if you borrow the money or you invest the money. If you invest the money, you won't see a lot of money return in the first 2 years, but if you put it for like 50 years, it'll be a lot. But if same thing happens with credit card, if you borrow the money, the first few months you don't see a lot of money you pay, but if you keep on borrowing for like a few years, then you will see a lot of a big interest grow in this case. So so this is all for the growth piece. The reason I'm pointing this out is because when you guys do word problems, you need to know that this is a growth or this is a decay, because your formula is a little bit different. One is a positive x, one is a negative x. Okay. The next one is the decay. So for the decay part, what kind of problems we use for decay is half-life. What is half-life? Half-life is like if you for like plutonium, carbon-14, and all those radioactive, what happened is that what we call as a half-life years. After a certain half-life years, the amount of the plutonium or carbon or whatever you have will cut into half. And then after, like let's say for carbon, I think it's 1,000 years. So after 1,000 years, let's say you have 5 grams, 6 grams, make it easy, 6 grams, you cut into half, become 3 grams. Then after another 1,000 years, that 3 grams will cut into half to become 1.5. And then you keep on cutting half. So they say that usually, so that's why they say the plutonium and all the radioactive, it won't be disappeared on the earth, because if you keep on cutting half of what you have, you still have the remaining of it. So it's not completely gone. Okay. So half-life is one thing what we do. Sometimes your population can be decayed. So especially when someone die more, or if a country has a plague or something else, then the population will be decaying. It can be also your medicine. So when you take your medicine into your system, it start up very strong, and then like here, and then after that it will slowly decay. That means the medicine is slowly not working well, so you have to retake the medicine again after after X hours of time. So that is kind of like the word problems you will see for the decay part. Okay, so this is for the exponential functions, and then we have the E. So in order for us to graph this E is actually what we call as a natural base. Natural base in this case, the E is symbolized as 2.7182. It's like pi. It never is irrational. It means continue going. So in order for you to graph the EX is right in between 2 and 3, because we know E is 2.718. So if you want to graph the E is going to be right between here. It's closer to the 3. So this graph that I draw here is the EX. Because E is 2.718, so that means it's between 2 and 3. So the red one is EX in this case. I think did I take attendance yet? Oh, not yet. Can I take attendance now? Or else I will forget. Go ahead and take attendance here. So then we got 2 very important formulas, and this formula is called the compound interest formula. So one is called compounding per year, and one is called compounding continuously. So the formula that we have in this case is A equals to P1 plus Rn to the power of nt. This is a compound interest formula that compound n times per year. So what is the symbol P stands for? P is a principal, means how much money you initially that you invest. Okay, so A is the final amount, or how much money you get after a certain time. R is your rates and your interest rate. Usually your rate is in, they give in percent, like 3.4%, 8%, all this percent. You have to convert into decimals, means you need to divide by 100 or move 2 decimal places to your left. And T in this case is time. So how many years? Usually it's measure in years. If measure in months, you have to divide by 12. You have to change it back to years. The reason why is because the rate is always in annual rate. So it's per year rate. So the T is measured in years. And now we talk to the N. N in this case is how much it compounds. So if it compounds annually, it's only do it 1 time a year. So that's why your N will be 1. Okay. If it's a semi-annually, then N in this case will be 2, means it only compounds 2 times a year. If it's quarterly, N in this case will be 4, because it compounds 4 times a year. A monthly will be 12, and it will be 12 because we got 12 months. And for daily, we use 365. That means we got 365 days a year. So this is if they use, so when they ask us to do this formula, they will tell us how many times it compound, annually, semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, or daily, depends on the so when you do your word problems, make sure you read the questions and figure out how many times it compounds in this case. Okay. So we're gonna do some work. You need calculators, very big on calculators here. So like the first question that you have in here is calculator words. So they want you to figure out, evaluate this f of x given as x is 3/10. So like plug it in. So you plug that in there. So so using your calculators, very important. Take out your calculators class. 2/3, 5 times x. X in this case is 3/10. Now, in order for you to use your calculator, make sure you follow what is given us. So you have in your calculator, make sure you have a parenthesis, 2 divided by 3, close a parenthesis. The power symbols, mostly your calculator will have this upside down V. So that is a power button. And then you need a special parenthesis here because you are doing a multiplication. So 5 times 3/10, and then close a parenthesis. If you don't use your parenthesis here, you get it wrong. So go ahead, class, take out your calculator and help me to calculate this number out. And this one is how many decimal places? I think it needs 3 decimal places.
0.544.
0.544. Class, make sure you know how to do this because it's if you this is the basic stuff here now. My calculator is a bit different from your calculator. My exponent is this xy. 5 times 3 divided by 10 parentheses. 0.544. You guys all right here? Do question 2. This is what we call as a compound interest because this looks like your PERT, P-E-R-T, compound continuously. So in this case, you put 6 into your x. So 5,000 E. Where you find your E, I can find E here easily. E is your second shift ln. So if you have to type E for your most of your calculator, you have to do second shift ln for your E. And then when you type E, they automatically put up like this and a parenthesis. They always do that. And then you put 0.06 times x. X is 6 in this case. So go ahead again. I want you guys to try this again. 5,000. Yep. I don't like my 5,000 times E to the power. Don't look at me because mine was a little bit different from your calculator. Anyone got an answer here? Seven, 166 point something, 65647. You guys all right here? Class, if you doesn't know how to do this, say goodbye to chapter 5 because chapter 5 is all about calculator. So make sure you have a calculator next to you for this upcoming, for the whole chapter 5. Anyone have any questions? Anyone have any questions with this? Okay. If you do, let me know because you need a calculator. Okay, and don't use your cell phone because your cell phone I'm not allowed to use it in your test. So try to get a scientific calculators for this class. Next, to do question 3, 4, 5, you're doing solve the equations. You require to do the one-to-one property. Now, what is one-to-one property? One-to-one property says that if you have the same base, if you're A and if you get them the same base, then your exponents is the same. Okay. So example for one-to-one property, it says that if AX equals to AY, if and only if X equals to Y. So the one-to-one properties tell us that if your base is the same, then your power should be equal. Okay. So if you want to use one-to-one property, you have to make the base the same. So like question number 3, we got 3x plus 1 equals to 27. So in order for us to do one-to-one property, we have to change the 27 to 3 to the power of something. Can someone tell me 27 is 3 to the power of
3.
3? Yep. So you need to know a little bit of exponents here. So since now the base is the same because they have the same 3, so you just need to solve your exponents. So x plus 1 on this side and 3 is on that side because your exponents is this 2. And you solve for x. So x in this case is what? 2. So this is how you do, this is what we call as one-to-one property, is as long as you have the same base, your exponents will be equal together. Okay. Number 4 is also work for, doesn't matter is 3 or 4, as long as they are the same base, you can, the exponents are the same. So for question number 4, we have this. Since we have the same e base, which is the natural exponents, we can cancel this, or you can just concentrate on your powers. So your power in this case will be x squared plus 6 equals to 5x. And we can solve for it because this is a quadratic, so we have to make this equal to 0. So I will move the 5x over to that side, so it becomes x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals to 0. And you solve for x, you have to factor here. Anyone know what's a factor here? So you got 2 answers.
X minus 2, x minus 3.
So x minus 2 and x minus 3, that is correct. So what is the answer in this case? X equals to 2 and x equals to what? 3, right? So this is your answer for question number 4. So it's very similar. But question 5 is a little bit tricky because it's asking for 5x minus 2 equals to 1 over 125. So again, in order for us to use the one-on-one property, we have to change this into power of 5. Can someone tell me how you change this into power of 5? $125 is 5 to the power of
3.
3, but we got 1 over, so that means it's not positive 3. This will be what?
Negative 3.
Yep. So this is 5 to the power of negative 3. So now we got the same base. So you take the power and make them the same. So x minus 2 equals to negative 3. So what is x in this case?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. Yep, that's how we do this question. So this is not tough, right? As I mentioned, make sure you guys know a little bit of exponents, like 27 is 3 cubed, 125 is 5 cubed. If you see 1 over it, you just make it as negative, like what I just did in number 5 here. Okay, so it's pretty much straightforward type question here. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit more, and then we'll stop. So this is not tough actually. The tough one is on Wednesday when we try to draw the graph. So we're gonna not do the graph. We're gonna do number 8 here, and then we're gonna stop up that. So question 8 is, we'll come back with these 2 on Wednesday. Okay. This question is asking us that you complete the table. You have A for $2,500, invest in 3.5% for 10 years, and it compound n times. These are n. So this is annually, semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, and daily, and continuously. So how do we do this is for the n equals to 1, you have to use the formula of A equals to P1 plus R over n times NT. And usually in your calculator, you need to put a parenthesis on this. I know that if you look at the formula, there's no parenthesis on this below, the NT on top. So you need to use the parentheses on that case for your calculator. Okay. So in this case, the question is asking us to find A, give us So this $2,500 is where your principal, where you begin to invest. So you put 2,500 here. 1 plus the rate is 3.5%. So how do you write this in decimal? 3.5% in decimal is 0.0305. 0.035. Only one zero. Was a zero here. And then n in this case is 1 because our n is 1. And then 1 times t. T is your time, is 10 years. So you put 10 years here. Yep, take out your calculator and figure this one out. Now, because this is money, because all money here. So money you have to do in 2 decimal places because to the nearest cent. So take out your calculator. Again, make sure you know how to calculate this. So your answer in this case will be 3,526.50. Again, round it into 2 decimal places. So this is where n is 1. You guys okay here so far? Anyone have any questions with this one? And then the question is for n is 2. So for n is 2, you still use back this, but you just need to change this to become what? 2. So your n in this case will be 2. So you will get another answer. I have to retype all this. 1 plus 0.035 divided by 2. Close a parenthesis, to the power, open your parenthesis, 2 times 10. So make sure you put a parenthesis on this 2 times the up here for your calculator piece. You will get 3,536.95. You guys all right here? Questions? You repeat the same for n is 4, n is 12, n is 365. Just do the same thing on that. Just replace your n with all these numbers. But what happens when they ask you for continuous? This is the last part. For the continuous, we do not use this formula anymore. So for the continuous, you use PERT, P-E-R-T. So it's going to be a natural exponents here. You use that E. So P is your principal, which is $2,500. E is still exponents. Rate is that 3.5%, which is 0.035 times 10. Time is 10 years. So again, you need parentheses on the exponents. So mostly when you see exponents, if you are multiplying, dividing, addition, or multiply, subtraction, make sure you put parentheses on it in your calculator. Otherwise, they will mark you wrong. So again, take out your calculator and do this is for the continuous case. Okay, they are a little bit different from n is 1, 2, 4, and so on. Anyone have any questions here so far? It's very calculated, heavy on calculator. This one came up to be 3,000 something, 3,547.67. So this is your continuous case. This is for this one. I didn't do the 4, 12, 33, 65. I think you guys know what to do here. You guys all right here with this? Anyone have any questions for me here? And yes, these 2 formulas, you need to know them. Some of you ask me, do I need to know this formula? Yes, you need to know. So as I told you, chapter 4, I provide you the formula, right? So you do not need to memorize those conic section formula. But in chapter 5, This will be the first two formulas you need to know. Okay, so you ask me, do I need to know this? Yes. This is need for test 2. Okay. We're gonna stop here. We will definitely continue 6 and 7, and then the rest of it on Wednesday. So you do have 2 homeworks due on this coming Wednesday, which is 4.3 and 4.4. So if you have any questions, please do ask me during email me or ask me next month, this coming Wednesday in class in the Zoom if you need help. So I'm gonna stop sharing here and stop recording. Does any